just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Christopher Sanchez of the Philadelphia Phillies is one of 3 Major League Baseball pitchers to have a 7-start span featuring an undefeated record, a sub-1.5 ERA, 50 or more innings pitched, 50 or more strikeouts, fewer than 5 walks, no more than 1 home run allowed.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
One big problem for NBC, too many on-air cooks for the coverage, particularly on the weekends. Having 4 on-air teams separate time, divide the time, was really outrageous. You had Mike Tirico and his partner. You had Dan Hicks, NBC Sports' lead golf commentator, and his partner. You had Steve Sands from Golf Channel and his partner. And you had Terry Gann, who, by the way, if you don't know, is going to become an NBA play-by-play voice.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
And welcome in. It is in-game live game day here on the grid on a marvelous Monday evening. Scott Wetzel and Gabriel Morency for the next 2 glorious hours right up until 10 p.m. Eastern time, watching, analyzing, betting the world of sports. No WNBA, baseball. A little MLB action. Kind of a weird night, Gabe. We got 10 left-handed pitchers on the hill tonight. We got a number of other guys making their team's debut after the trade deadline from Thursday. And we do have a goofy kind of college football over-under. Going to try and throw you at least one college football or NFL over-under team win total from here to the start of the season. Let's see if we can get a couple of wins out of one particular team. We'll have some fun with that. So it should be a lot of fun over the next 2. We got our Black SGP, same game parlays, all kind of trends to pass along. What's going on, Gabe? How are you this Monday evening?
We're doing good, Scott. Good to see you. Tracking the early Major League Baseball games. Looks like I'm going to be on the wrong side of the Miami Marlins tonight. They're getting punched in the mouth, but I thought it was interesting. A Philadelphia Phillies and LA Dodger parlay turned into a plus 142 payday. And anytime you're getting 2 teams as good as that, we talk about playing parlays. And last week I said I'm not a fan of the 2-team parlay when it's like minus 107 or minus 114. But when you're getting plus money, I'm not opposed to it. Philly started off slow, but we got a 3-3 baseball game with the Baltimore Orioles right now. And, of course, we got the Yankees and the Rangers coming up here. And I don't care if Max Fried's on the hill here, Scott. I just don't see how the Yankees could be this big of favorites on the road. Texas are a much better home team than they are a road team. We talked about that last week when they were on the road on the West Coast. Yeah, the numbers just speak for themselves. And as good as Fried is, me and Scott spent a lot of time talking last week about starting pitching and how much goes into the handicap of a baseball bet due to the starting pitching. Max Fried's a great pitcher. Nobody's going to dispute this. You know what, Scott? They're 3-5 in his last 8 starts, right? Just because he's a good pitcher doesn't mean they win every time he starts. And you look at the Rangers, Corbin, they're 4-1. In his last 5 starts, and we're getting plus 120 with the Rangers. I know the Yankees, it's inevitable. They almost have to win. We see the Marlins are losing tonight, but I can't pass up the Rangers, Scott, at plus 120.
Yeah, 34-20, Gabe, at home. They are 14 games over 500 and 11 games under 500 on the road, 24-35. That's so weird. You expect that out of a team that's filled with a bunch of rookie, first, second, maybe third-year players. But this is a veteran team up and down the line. These guys have been in the majors for a long, long time. You shouldn't have those kind of splits when you want to be a playoff team. Very strange. So there are some particular, weird lines out there, Gabe. I tell you, I looked this up, right? And I had a lot of time on my hands today. And there are a number of left-handed pitchers starting tonight, a weird number, 10. So MLB.com does a pretty good job with their standings. They give you all kind of good stats. If I were to tell you, right, 30 baseball teams, right? Now, most people in the majors are right-handed hitters, right? So you would think most teams would perform better against lefties than righties because you got, more right-handed batters, right? Out of 30 teams, Gabe, only 10 have a winning record against left-handed pitchers. 10-19, and there's one team that's 12-12.
See, I
think it's the Yankees.
Yeah. See, I didn't know the exact number, Scott, but I would have, I knew where you were going with this, in which there's just not as many left-handed hitters. They're not as good against them. But the question is tonight going to be an overwhelming under night tonight? Right? Is it an overwhelming under night when there's so many teams that, quite frankly, aren't good versus southpaw pitchers? But I think the devil's advocate, there's always a counterpoint to everything in this world, Scott. There's a lot of left-handed pitchers that are very good on the hill here tonight as well.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So, nothing's easy, bro. You know what I mean?
It's true. The Phillies are one of the worst teams. Believe it or not, Philadelphia Phillies. Now, maybe you could guess that just because of Harper and Schwarber, right? They're only 12-19 against left-handed pitchers. So I thought Baltimore was a live dog tonight, but then we throw in it's Cade Povich, and he's a lefty, but he stinks. So which is more prominent, the fact that the pitcher they're facing stinks, or the fact that he's a lefty? So Texas, believe it or not, is one of the worst teams against left-handed pitcher, which is probably why the Yankees are favored tonight on the road. Corbin and Fried, both left-handed pitchers. Rangers 9-18 in games started by a lefty. But again, a lot of that stuff then goes back to, if the starting pitcher's only going 5 innings, does it really, really matter? Is this a fluky thing, or is there something legitimately to this? I tend to, believe it or not, think it's more of a fluky team game, just because, like I said, these starting pitchers are only going 5 innings anyway. So, it just may be that they happen to lose those games versus the left-handed pitcher stifling the Texas Rangers or the Philadelphia Phillies.
And whether it's random or not, and I think there is a lot of randomness to this, but it's our job to look at it and try to find, these trends as they're happening, or even better, before they're happening. But for the most part, Scott, the old grand salami is pretty thin on the meat tonight, actually, right? Like, we got a 5-0 game in Florida, so only 5 runs scored here. We're in the bottom of the 6th. There's still baseball left. In-game total 7.5. 8 runs is the most runs that we have right now in the Detroit game, right? Detroit, Minnesota, we're at 8. In-game is 9.5. But end of 4, San Francisco up 2-1. So, generally lower scoring. Cleveland, New York, mid-5th, scoreless. Red Sox up 5-0. There's going to be runs in this one. In-game total is 11.5. And tell you, Scott, Red Sox knocking on the door right now. A lot of baseball left to be played. They're lingering. Red Sox up 5-0 right now. 3-1 Brewers, so sort of in the middle here. Total's 8.5 there. Reds and Cubs, I don't know if you're betting this game, Scott. Big-time series here. We talked about the Reds last week, so they're coming off the loss yesterday. Was supposed to be an off day. Up at the Saturday night Bristol Motor Speedway race track game got pushed back to Sunday here. But they're over 500. Last week we were talking about them. There were 5 games over 500. Now they're 4 games over 500. They're going to win the season bet win total, the Reds, which was like 78.5. They're going to get to that. But can they string together a couple of series wins against these good teams and really get in the mix, Scott? And to me, this series is massive against the Chicago Cubs for them.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun. That is for sure. So we'll have some plays for that game and a bunch of the others. Before we do anything else, how about a little 5 on the line, our 5 best trends for games that are starting here in just a little bit. All right, we are 190 up, only 129 down. So we're a good 61 games over 500. Here we go with our 5-pack today. We'll start with St. Louis, only 2-8 their last 10 on the road. LA, the Dodgers, 8-1 at home against the Cardinals as well. Trend pick, the LA Dodgers minus the 188 versus St. Louis. Play number 2, Tampa Bay. Well, the Devil Dogs have been struggling everywhere, right? So, but in particular on the road where they're just 1-10 their last 11 road games. So let's go with the Angels minus the 120 or so against Tampa Bay. How about Cincinnati? Nice little 18-6 under, including 9-2 their last 11. It's a low number. I don't particularly like this one, but trend says under 7, Cincinnati against Chicago. How about Texas? 10-1 their last 11 home games, including 6 straight, taking on the Yankees like we talked about. Give me Texas plus the 120. And that leaves us with only one, the coup de grace, creme de la creme, numero uno trend. How about the Dodgers? 9-1 under their last 10 games. Yes, the mighty Dodgers with all the big bats and everything else. Under 8, St. Louis and the LA Dodgers. Another one I don't necessarily like, but trend says it is under Dodgers and Cardinals tonight. We'll break it all down when we come back. In-game live, game day here on the Grid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
welcome back. It is In-Game Live Game Day here on the Grid. Scott and Gabe just getting underway. Recap our 5 on the line, 5 best trends. We got the Dodgers minus the 188 against the Cardinals, who are 2-8 their last 10 road games. We got the Angels minus the 120 or so against the Devil Dogs, who are 1-10 their last 11 road games. We got Cincinnati under 7 with the Cubbies. Reds I would never would have guessed this until you do some of these stats. 18-6 under are the Reds their last 24 games. We'll go with the Rangers plus the 120 as they're 10-1 their last 11 at home, and then under 8 St. Louis and the LA Dodgers as the Dodgers on a monster 9-1 under run. So 5 on the line. We're 61 games over 500, and hopefully, again, these aren't necessarily picks, but just the best trends. So do what you want with them. You throw them out. You want to use them, don't use them. I just kind of find it curious to see how these things turn out. So halfway decent so far if you've been doing them. Gabe, one team we didn't talk too much about early on there, but Brewers are at it again. Man, I tell you, they got the best record in baseball over the last month or so, and they were down 1-0 early against the Atlanta Braves, and they're right back at 3-run homer, and the Brewers are up 3-1 against Atlanta. I did like the Brewers tonight. I would probably double down on them, but this team is a machine. They're just doing nothing. They're winning at home. They're winning on the road. They're getting pitching. They're getting timely hitting. 3-1 over Milwaukee, top of the 5th. What do you think about Milwaukee today?
The division is basically a pick 'em right now. The Brewers came into today like minus 115 favorites to win. The Cubs were like plus 100. The Brew Crew have been on fire. Hottest team in baseball right now. Best record of the month of July. Best winning percentage. We talked about it last week. It's actually the lowest winning percentage out of any team with the best record in baseball going into the month of August. And we might not have a team get to 100 this year, Scott, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Actually. But I wonder with the Brewers if they've peaked a little bit too early. Right? And another thing is, too, with the Brew Crew, we've seen this in the past. They're good in the regular season, and then they fade in the playoffs. They get bounced in the playoffs pretty quickly. They do have some injuries. Offensively, you wonder if they can keep pulling this off. So, if I had to bet, Scott, as hot as the Brew Crew are right now, I try to get too caught up in who's hot now. I'm going to sort of look at the big picture, and if the Cubs could just go on a little bit of a run, then suddenly, they're going to be in the lead in a division here. So as far as the division is concerned, like I said, the Brew Crew are like minus 110, minus 115, depending on when and where, and the Cubs were in the plus 100 range. So I lean with the Cubs still to win the division. And as far as the Dodger game tonight is concerned, yeah, the Dodgers do have 9 unders in their last 10 baseball games, but this is just my gut feel, Scott. I kind of feel like the Dodgers' bats are going to come alive tonight. Sonny Gray on the hill. He's been a gas can. His last 3 starts, he's given up 17 earned runs, 5 home runs, Scott. And I think the Dodgers, we talk about the Dodgers sort of turning the corner once again. They're getting healthier. Now they lose Edman, but they get Muncy back tonight. So it's sort of a trade-off here. Not ideal. Mookie Betts struggling right now, but we talked about the Cards, 1-4 in their last 5. They traded people away. This is a baseball team that, technically still in contention, Scott, but they're going in the wrong direction. I think the Dodgers roll tonight, and I just think they can get to Sonny Gray tonight. I'm going to play Ohtani to hit a home run. Teoscar Hernandez has 2 home runs, actually, in his career against Sonny Gray. I think the Dodgers go deep a couple of times tonight, Scott.
I kind of like that, too. Like I said, with the trends that we give out are just trends. That's all. I mean, I try and take the best ones and ones that I kind of lean towards a little bit, but I don't necessarily, we don't necessarily advocate those. Those aren't picks. The big difference, right? You hit it on the head with Sonny Gray, Gabe. He's been awful. How about 30 hits allowed over his last 13 1/3 innings?
That's a lot of
hits.
He's
averaging it's almost like 3 hits an inning, for goodness sakes. So if the Dodgers
more hits
can't
than
tee
Duran
off on this guy,
and Madonna combined.
So 5-11 after the break is St. Louis. Listen, they played a lot better. I thought they'd be like a 500 team, but that was over most people's expectations, and that's ultimately what they are, and they're kind of falling apart. So that's why, and you'll find out a little bit later on. I do like the Dodgers tonight. I really do. I fell into that Miami trap. Listen, hindsight's 20/20, right? We know that, but looking back, I did like Miami. I've been playing them a lot, so I have plenty of money to give back because they've been the second hottest team behind Milwaukee. But they're coming off a monster sweep. First time ever against the Yankees. Houston's coming off being swept by the Red Sox. You know, it was the perfect letdown one side, be ticked off on the other side. Whole world's probably playing Miami. They're finally buying in. They finally get to the 500 mark. It really, you know, again, hindsight being 2020, but it really does make sense for Houston to actually win this game, and they're up 5-0.
Yeah, people that jumped on the Marlins today, including myself, a day late and $1 short. And I don't bet the Marlins much, so I'm more frustrated than if I did take them all the time. Because as you stated, if you bet on a team all the time, you come to the understanding they're not going to win every night, right? And you accept it, but they've still been good to you. So it's one of those. Can they keep it going? You know, they had this little buzz going. Could they get back into the wild card picture? Just too many teams ahead of them, I think, for the Marlins. You know, I tell you though, now Scott, I'm always a believer of like the first game of the season counts every much as the last game of the regular season, right? But with that being stated, these games really do matter right now for everybody. Like this season is on speed right now. It's on fast forward. Next thing you know, we're going to be mid-September, and there's so many teams that are so close. There's more divisions. You know, Scott, if you look at the division futures, often in baseball by this time of the year, you can bet one or two divisions. You know what I mean? Where it's like, yeah, this team's big favorite, that team's a big favorite. 4 of the 6, Scott, are still majorly competitive as far as the betting is concerned. Right? Astros, Mariners, Mets, Phillies, Cubs, Brewers. The American League East, bro. Blue Jays, Yankees, Red Sox. It's a lot of baseball left to be played. These divisions are still up for grabs.
And the Dodgers-Padres should be, Gabe.
Yeah,
you know, if that was
3.
any other division, right? I mean, they're only down 3, you're right. And they got the Padres like they're 8 games out. I mean, you get 7-1 on the Padres. Now, no one thinks the Dodgers are going to blow this thing.
It's
but
wild the
Dodgers
when you look at the are 10-1. Yeah, the wild, Scott, the Dodgers are 10-1, and they're only up by 3. It's like, what?
Yeah. It's the craziest thing, right? I mean, it's just that makes no. Like I said, if you took the Dodgers and the Padres out of those uniforms and put in, Red Sox, Yankees, it wouldn't even be close to 7-1. Really wouldn't. So, all right, In-Game Live continues here on the Grid.
They lay over and die at the hands of the Minnesota Lynx, who beat them 109-78. The defense is a mess. The offense is a mess. The Vegas Aces, who I was so sold on, JY, bouncing back and being one of the absolute best teams in this league, are average at best.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
You want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13 for, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
One big problem for NBC, too many on-air cooks for the coverage, particularly on the weekends. Having 4 on-air teams separate time, divide the time, was really outrageous. You had Mike Tirico and his partner. You had Dan Hicks, NBC Sports' lead golf commentator, and his partner. You had Steve Sands from Golf Channel and his partner. And you had Terry Gann, who, by the way, if you don't know, is going to become an NBA play-by-play voice.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
and welcome back. It is In-Game Live Game Day here on the Grid. Scott, Gabe, hour number one, cruising along. We got a bunch of games that are all underway. We'll head back to the board here in a second. First up, though, as we always do, third segment, hour one, SGP, same game parlay time. I'm going to use something to do something I don't think I've ever done before in an SGP. Maybe, but not often. And that is not actually bet on a team. I'm going to use, Gabe, your Blue Jays and the Colorado Rockies tonight. Over-under is 11.5, and I'm just going to count on runs. That's the bottom line. The way Colorado's been pitching, awful. The way they've been hitting, halfway decent. Toronto, can put a bunch of runs on the board. So I'm not even going to worry about a goofy, Pittsburgh-Colorado game where they got a 5-run lead in the ninth inning and blow it. So give me over 11.5. We'll start there, Toronto and Colorado. Give me Hunter Goodman, one of the best players, probably the best player for Colorado to get 2 bases at minus 150. Then we'll use Bo Bichette, obviously one of the 2 better players on Toronto, 2 bases plus a run. And then Vlad Guerrero, the other, they have a number of good players. Don't get me wrong, but 2 of the better players on Toronto, 2 bases and a run. This has got to be a 7-5, 8-6, 9-5, like those Pittsburgh Pirates series written all over it. Hopefully Bichette and Guerrero do their stuff. And it doesn't pay a whole lot, but we like to go conservative. Get a winner on Monday or Tuesday, then play with house money the rest of the way. So plus 539 on that one. What do you think?
I like where you're going with the Blue Jays tonight, Scott, and the amount of runs in the game. My only concern would be is if Eric Lauer shuts the Rockies down. Lauer's a pretty good pitcher. But with that being stated, it is Coors. Over the last 13 games, the Rockies have averaged 5.1 runs a game. They just hung 30 up over the weekend, right? So they can hit the baseball, this team. The Blue Jays are averaging 5.4 runs a game over the last 2 weeks as well, which, those numbers don't get us there, but this game is in Coors, and sometimes you got to feel your gut a little bit as well. And, we were talking a couple minutes ago about my gut feel that the Dodgers smack a couple of home runs. I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers won like 7-3 or something tonight, cover the run line. My gut feel is, too, I could see the Blue Jays scoring 12 on their own. I don't want to get too ambitious. We'll talk about the team total, but you know what I mean? We saw that when the Blue Jays played in Sacramento, there were 1 million runs, Scott. I see every Blue Jay game. I get the feeling tonight's one of those, 3.5 hour, 4-hour games. Where it's just, rake, 4-spot, 3-spot, 2-spot. Yeah, I can see the Blue Jays scoring tonight. Maybe we're exaggerating a little bit as far as the amount of runs, but I do like the over. I'm seeing 12s out there as well, Scott. That's a lot of runs. You got to get to 12 just to get the push. So 11.5, nice number right there. And as far as sometimes the team total isn't a bad way to go, right? Instead of worrying about a big total. Yeah, I'm seeing an even 12. I'm not saying there's not 11.5s out there, but I see 12 right now as the game is coming up. And as far as the team total, the team total tonight, wow. 6.5, Scott.
For Toronto, wow.
Minus 130 to the over. You got to score 7 runs to win the team total bet.
Wow. Well, this is funny, Gabe. Like we talked about before, it really, you got to kind of pick your poison. And stats are great. They really are. But you'll go bananas. You really will with this stuff. So I'll give you 2 and you figure out which one is more credence to you. Colorado. Now, Colorado's not great against anybody, right? But against left-handed starting pitchers, Colorado this season, 4-26. 4-26. I mean, they at least got 26 wins against right-handed pitchers. All right, so then it's an automatic bet on Toronto, right? Well, before you do that, just know this, and this is why I didn't use Toronto, Gabe. Lauer, you said it, good pitcher. 6-2, ERA, well under 3. I mean, that's terrific, 2.68. So what's the problem, Scott? The problem is against the Rockies, don't ask why, but he's 1-6 with an ERA of 7.58 in 12 appearances, including, ready, 0-6 with an ERA of 12.73 in 7 starts at Colorado. So that's why you're getting 12. 11.
Yeah, and all this reminds me so much of last Monday night, I guess it was, when we were talking about Seattle and Sacramento. And all the numbers led. It was the same thing, Scott. The total was like 11.5, 12. It was really high. And the game ended up being 3-1 final score.
Yeah.
And it was
it is amazing.
Remember I said Castillo's a good pitcher, but his ERA on the road is 7. There was a stiff for the A's whose ERA was 9 or whatever at 3-1.
Yeah, we'll figure. George Kurtz coming up next here on the Grid.
They lay over and die at the hands of the Minnesota Lynx, who beat them 109-78. The defense is a mess. The offense is a mess. The Vegas Aces, who I was so sold on, JY, bouncing back and being one of the absolute best teams in this league, are average at best.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
You want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
One big problem for NBC, too many on-air cooks for the coverage, particularly on the weekends. Having 4 on-air teams separate time, divide the time, was really outrageous. You had Mike Tirico and his partner. You had Dan Hicks, NBC Sports' lead golf commentator, and his partner. You had Steve Sampson, Golf Channel, and his partner. And you had Terry Gann, who, by the way, if you don't know, is going to become an NBA play-by-play voice.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is In-Game Live Game Day here on the Grid. Midway through hour number 1. Full slate of baseball. It's a beautiful thing. Let's talk a little baseball with our good buddy George Kurtz, SportsGrid TV radio host. He's here and see you all the time right here on the Grid. What's going on, George? How are you on this Monday evening? Long time no speak. You and I worked together yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, actually, I think I might have spoken to Gabriel even quicker than you a couple of hours ago.
Okay.
Here. So, yeah, I just can't escape you guys here. Hey, Yankee fan, little deja vu here. Leadoff home run again. Second day in a row here. Let's see if they can hold on to this one.
I think it's a good spot to jump in on the Rangers plus 200. It's a 1-run lead. I already like the Rangers coming into this game at plus 120. I'm not going to change my mind over a 1 run. What did you do with the game, Kurtz, when it was all said and done? We went over the numbers. I know Max Fried's a good pitcher, but they're 3-5 when he pitches his last 8 starts. 1-3 in his last 4 starts. So it's not like they win every time he starts, even though he's a good pitcher, Kurtz. So guys, I think plus 200, not a bad play on the Rangers, only down 1-0.
And Fried hasn't been the same guy. He was very good through July, and then July on, his numbers have dipped a little bit. Now, he did have the blister, right? He had the blister problem there, so maybe that's part of the problem here. The bottom line for the Yankees is this. If you don't win tonight, tomorrow's Eovaldi versus Warren. All right? I mean, come on. Even under the best of circumstances, that's going to be a tough one to win, right? So you have to win tonight. You have your ace on the mound here. Theoretically, you're streak stopper when you're losing here, so you have to win tonight. I had a small play on the Yankees, which I generally don't like to do here, but took the Yankees with Fried, hoping they'd wake up. This team has to wake up in the disaster weekend. Small play, pizza money on the Yankees tonight.
All right, we got Toronto, Colorado starting here in a couple of moments, so we'll hop to that one before we get to the games that are already underway. Toronto laying minus 210. Gabe and I just talked about the numbers. Over-under is 11.5. Colorado's given and scored a bunch of runs. Toronto's got a good pitcher on the hill, but he's 0-6 with an ERA over 12 at Coors Field. Where are you going with this one?
Well, you're not going with Colorado. I could not find a parlay partner that I really liked with this game. That's really what I wanted to do. So I took Toronto on the run line, still laying a heavy price on that. I think it was minus 142 or something like that. Hate doing that, but I could not find something else. I just could not find a game that I really liked.
What about the Dodgers?
Dodgers? Not the Dodgers?
Glasnow and Gray. Gray can shut down.
Captain Chalk. Come on, Kurtz.
Sonny Gray's been good. I know his last start was
Sonny Gray's been
good.
Awful. He's been awful lately.
His last three starts. His last three starts giving up 5 home runs, 17 earned runs, 30 hits.
30 hits.
I don't feel good enough about that. Listen, is that game that's started yet?
Glasnow's been good.
Glasnow's been very good, which he was on my fantasy team. Love to see Glasnow being good here. Fine, I'll put it in for you. All right.
It seems to write itself, Wetzel. I bullied him into the parlay. I bullied him into it. What about the Dodgers?
I can't find the game.
The Dodgers are only minus 170, so it's one of those prices where you can sort of bet it alone. But Gray had, technically Gray was better earlier. We'll see. His current form isn't. I think and you know what? The Dodgers are hitting 298 against him as well. There's a bunch of Dodgers that have smoked Gray in their careers.
FanDuel is giving me some problems here. It's thinking about giving me the odds for the parlay here. I don't know why it's taking so long, but it is. So I won't know the number yet till it comes here.
Plus
I'm
135.
a couple of props. What do you got?
Go ahead. I got plus 135 on a Toronto Dodger parlay right now.
All right. I'm going to play it eventually when it comes to me, but I said it has not come in yet. I'm still waiting. I just got to refresh my screen here. So we'll see what happens there. I'm also on Vladimir Guerrero anytime home run tonight. And I'm going to go with Addison Barger to do the same from the left-handed side. So I'm going to play some heavy props in the Blue Jays game. I want to take the over, but I don't think Lauer's going to get beat up tonight. So I might need the Blue Jays to score 7-8 runs to get that over. But I imagine I'm going to be end up doing that in the next half hour as well.
That's their team total, 6.5. We were talking about it. I got a 12 here. I don't even have an 11.5. I got a 12. I can wait. If there's a couple early outs, it'll dip early. That I brought up the same thing. The only concern with the total to me is, and Scott brought up Lauer's numbers in the past. He's a better pitcher now. But, man, I think there's going to be runs in this game. Like, if I had to predict a final score, I'll say it's 9-5. Yeah, you know what? You're close. I was thinking 9-4. And I said, you know what? 9-5. How about 9-5? 9-4, 9-5. So we're seeing it the same way. But hard to bet a team total, guys, when you got to get 7 runs.
Yeah, I know.
That's like,
that is crazy. That is crazy.
I can't do that.
I was going to say same thing. I was going to say exactly 9-5. That's what I'm kind of banking on. 9-5. How about Cincinnati and the Cubs?
By the way, took forever, but I got the bet in. So Cincinnati Cubs here. Cubs came through for me, was it yesterday? Not the greatest weekend for them. They're feeling a lot of heat from Milwaukee, the Cubs here. And I think I told Gabe this afternoon, very disappointed in the Cubs for not making that big move at the deadline. I really thought they needed a top starting pitcher, whether it be Alcantara, Cabrera, Gowan, whoever was available there. Really thought they needed to go for it and give up Costa, whoever they wanted, whoever the other team wanted, but they didn't do it. Reds cost me a lot of money yesterday. Thanks to that Speedway game or Raceway game, whatever they were calling it, is I can't still surprised they lost the Atlanta Braves here, especially when Strider was supposed
pretty
to start
bold though, Kurtz, putting so much stock in one of those weird neutral field games like that after a rain delay game.
Fair. No, I did it before. They didn't take the bet away. I thought they would cancel.
So you were stuck with it.
They did carry the bet over. Yeah,
they carried the bet over. They did not.
Really?
I thought it was going to cancel as well, but
wow. What book was that? FanDuel. Normally, Scott. Normally they scratch it. I know, like baseball carries over and Cruz is on second base, etc. when they restarted, but it's happened to be a couple of times, Scott, where games have been canceled and the bet gets voided. Normally, I'm surprised. Well, that's like a FanDuel thing. I'm surprised about that.
You know what it is, guys? I've looked this up, and I don't know. I've asked like baseball experts, and you can't come up with a reason of why some games are just rained out and why some games are suspended over. And if you Google it, it's like they'll give you like War and Peace on why you can't figure out why they just cancel some and start it all over again. And so maybe the games that they don't cancel, that they suspend, those bets to carry over.
That's probably why the bet carried over.
It was. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
it
but
was.
a lot of sports books don't carry it over still anymore. Yeah. They just drop it. They go, you get your money back, and you want to bet the game tomorrow, you can bet the game tomorrow in game or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
to be all honest, guys, I checked around. The game started at 1 p.m. Eastern. I checked at 12:30. The bet was still there. I was going to bet it anyway. Even if they did take, that's why I checked early, because I was going to bet it again anyway. They were up 1-0 at the time. I would have gotten a worse price.
Yeah. Oh, and you had a 1-0 lead too, right?
So I was going to do it again anyway here. So I have no complaint to that. Like, I was going to take the bet away. No, I wasn't. I was going to go back in. Maybe a little lesser money because it was a 1-0 lead. I wouldn't have got the same odds. But is what it is here. But that one hurt, man. That home run that dribbled across the top of the fence in the ninth inning, such a tease. Just such a tease.
Grand Slam Phillies, naturally. They got 11 runs. Schwarber, a whole Grand Slam. I had the over Phillies last night. They did absolutely nothing. They made Charlie Morton look like, Cy Young out there last night. Figures they're going to get 11 runs tonight. Unbelievable.
I had the under, but you won the game.
Yeah, I had the over. You and I worked. I had the over 4.5. These Sunday night overs, I got to take a few minutes and look it up, man. Every single one of these games seems to be going under Sunday night. These guys are just hacking, swinging. They don't get us out of town. So difficult. All right, any other in-game numbers that you like before we get to the games that have yet to begin, George?
Yes, as far as in-game numbers here, I don't see anything great. I mean, what are you going to do? Going to Pittsburgh here? That one's over. That's the Mets are terrible right now. We're not going on Kansas City. There's nothing here. You're going to go on Atlanta Braves? I think the Braves are toast. I think they're going to be terrible here. I guess Chicago Cubs. You're getting even money. Cubs down 1. So if you were on the Cubs before this, you kind of like this price now, right? I could see myself going into the Chicago Cubs taking over that, maybe over 6.5 too. Is the wind blowing out at Wrigley any chance today? But I kind of like the Cubs, but even money now, only down 1.
Now the wind's blowing in. The under was the play. That was the buzz play tonight. The under at Wrigley. Plus the pitchers have been good, right? Lindell's been good.
Suspiciously low, 7. That's why I said when we were doing the 5 on the lines, like, man, 7.
They don't do that
really
often at Wrigley. They felt they knew something.
Yeah, exactly. But it's that low, you go under for sure. So, all right, quick little break. We'll come back with George, and we'll get his thoughts on the games that are starting a little bit later on tonight. In-game live, game day on the grid.
They lay over and die at the hands of the Minnesota Lynx, who beat them 109-78. The defense is a mess. The offense is a mess. The Vegas Aces, who I was so sold on, JY, bouncing back and being one of the absolute best teams in this league, are average at best.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
You want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
One big problem for NBC, too many on-air cooks for the coverage, particularly on the weekends. Having 4 on-air teams separate time, divide the time, was really outrageous. You had Mike Tirico and his partner. You had Dan Hicks, NBC Sports' lead golf commentator, and his partner. You had Steve Sands from Golf Channel and his partner. And you had Terry Gann, who, by the way, if you don't know, is going to become an NBA play-by-play voice.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
right, welcome back. It is In-Game Live Game Day here on the Grid. Hour number 1, Scott and Gabe chatting with our good buddy George Kurtz, SportsGrid radio TV host. You see it here all the time here on the Grid. George, there's a couple games here. Oh, go ahead, fire away.
Early update, didn't take long. 2 at-bats, 1 run for the Toronto Blue Jays.
There you go.
They led the game off with a double, Lucas with the double, and Bichette just singled him home. Now Guerrero's coming up with Bichette on first.
All right, nice.
No out.
I need no out. Yeah, this has got this has got like 15 runs, written all over it. Hopefully. Tampa Bay and the LA Angels, George. Tampa Bay scuffling, right? And not that the Angels are playing great, I'll tell you that. Tampa Bay 14-17 versus lefties. That's not too bad. Kikuchi on the hill for the Angels, 4-7. Tampa Bay 1-10 their last 11 road games. Not again that they're playing great at home. This is a tough one. Unless you see some angle that I don't know. Maybe over Angels 15-8 over their last 23 at home. Tampa Bay 8-22 their last 30 games. Where are you going with this one, if anywhere?
I don't really like the over. I kind of like the under a little better in this game. I think Kikuchi will pitch well. Rays have injuries all over the place. They're what did Gabe say? They're the weird team that never seems to go away with injuries. They sort of traded out at the deadline, sort of, that added some pieces here. I kind of like the Angels at -120. I think they are still in it. That people sort of forget here. They're on the peripheral, right there with Cleveland. So I like the Angels, and I like the under 8.5 as well. But once again, we're talking smaller bets here. Nothing that I love here. My big bets tonight will be with Toronto.
We wondered a lot about Tampa coming into the year with their schedule being what it was, right? We talked about it a lot. 47 of their first 59 games were at home. And was it going to catch up to them after? And clearly it has. And we're early in August right now. And they still have a lot of more road games to come. They're just, they're falling apart. The injuries are catching up. You wonder in baseball, how difficult is it? Because it's not as tough as like the NBA or the NHL where you're city hopping all the time, right? You're not playing 3 days, 4 games in a row, etc. in a city. So it's a little bit different, but still tough. And I'm not saying that that's the only reason why the Rays have started to fade, but clearly it's been a problem for them. You play 47 of your first 59 games at home. You're going to pay the price for it after.
Oh, agreed here. Plus, I don't think the Rays are all that great a team anyway. Could also be a long season that's catching up to them as well. On the road, long season, I think they're fading away here. I think they'll continue to fade away. Remember, Ronda's also on the IL. He was a nice surprise find for them. It was having a pretty good season for the Rays there, especially at Steinbrenner Field, which is Yankee Stadium South here. So I think the Rays are going to be slowly a dying team. I said I like the Angels tonight and the under. Don't feel great about it, but that's where I'd go tonight. Angels and the under.
We won't have to worry about some sort of weird irony of Yankees-Rays, Scott, playing in Tampa or something in the playoffs at the Yankee Stadium, which would have been, I'm saying, some weird little thing like that happening. It doesn't look like that's a possibility right now.
Yeah. Schedule makers didn't do Tampa will play there. That if they play in the playoffs, they will. There was some talk that they would play in Atlanta or whatever, but they're going to play there.
Yeah. So the schedule makers didn't do them any favors playing in Tampa yesterday afternoon. And now have to fly all the way to Los Angeles and take on the Angels. So without a day off, Hauser making his Tampa Bay debut. They picked him up from the White Sox. San Diego, Arizona. One team doing well, the other team. Although I will say the Arizona did take 2 out of 3 against the A's, albeit the A's. But the Padres 7-1 their last 8. 8-2 their last 10. Actually, they're on the road. Forget that. But 11-5 over last 16 meetings. Arizona traded anybody on that team. You got Fod on the hill versus J.P. Sears making his Padres debut. What do you think?
I think it's a tough one. I mean, I don't trust either starting pitcher here, Sears or Fott. Either one can pitch well. Either one can get lit up here. So when in doubt, I tend to go with the over. At least one's going to get lit up here, and I'll take the better team in the Padres. All right, so I guess there's the Captain Chalk coming in there. But I like what the Padres have done here. Expect them to go on some kind of streak. You got to beat the Diamondbacks. They've given up. They're mailing it in here. I said Fott has had some good starts here, but for the most part, he's been 50-50 at best. I don't know what to expect from Sears. He's the ex-Yankee. Went to San Diego on the Soto deal. He's been, once again, he's decent as well, but he's more of a depth starter than anybody can truly rely on here. I think it's going to be a bullpen game for San Diego, and they may have the best bullpen in baseball. Give me the Padres.
The thing with Sears, he's had a problem, obviously, with the long ball, right? He gave up some home runs, but he's out of that stadium now. And I always think, Scott, we were talking last week about like a double-A pitcher or triple-A pitcher making his debut, first start, catches people off guard. I like the angle of a player making his first start for a new team. Wants to impress the guys, right? Wants to impress, said, hey, you guys brought me in here. I'm going to show you I can help this baseball team. It's a big start for him. I'm going to take San Diego tonight.
I'll throw it out there. Arizona, for what it's worth, 11-20 versus lefties this season. Sears is a lefty. So St. Louis and the LA Dodgers. We touched on it moments ago. It sounds like you want to play the Dodger, or maybe not. You were kind of hesitant.
He didn't want it. I twisted his arm.
Yeah,
I bullied him into it.
He twisted my arm. He bullied me. He blackmailed me. Extorted me. So I was forced to click.
I put
on
a gun in your head. I know. I put a gun in your head.
Gun in my head. Right. He's has my family hostage somewhere. Which, by the way, you can keep them. Don't bring them back. I put the Dodgers in a parlay with the I almost said the Rockies, with the Blue Jays here.
Blue Jays.
So yeah, with the Blue Jays. Blue Jays is a big game for me tonight. So with the Jays, the run line, the over, and the parlay, and a couple of props here. I need the Jays to score a whole bunch of runs tonight. That's what I'm looking forward to here. Listen, I do like the Dodgers to beat them. And Gabe said Glasnow's been great. We maybe want to think about his strikeout prop, which is something I haven't played a lot this year. As strikeout props in general. I don't play them as much because pitchers get taken out so early, but I'm kind of interested in that as well for Glasnow, who looks like the Glasnow of old, right? When he's healthy, he's one of the best. I kind of like that. Yeah. I think he'll get that number.
I agree. I think he goes over the number as well. I'm glad that you brought it up. I was going to bring it up. It's minus 110 as well, too, Scott and George. So not a big price. Sonny Gray's 5.5, and I think he's going to get lit up. So I'm not sure he gets 6 strikeouts personally.
Yeah, that's a lot for him. Cubbies, by the way, put 2 on the board. 2-1 now over the Reds. Bottom of
Kurtz
the third
called
inning.
it. Kurt said it a couple of minutes ago. Said that was his jump in on them.
Now it's minus 310. He just lost 310.
Crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. Over under is 7.5. George, great job as always, man. We'll do it again soon. Yes.
They lay over and die at the hands of the Minnesota Lynx, who beat them 109-78. The defense is a mess. The offense is a mess. The Vegas Aces, who I was so sold on, JY, bouncing back and being one of the absolute best teams in this league, are average at best.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
You want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
One big problem for NBC, too many on-air cooks for the coverage, particularly on the weekends. Having 4 on-air teams separate time, divide the time, was really outrageous. You had Mike Tirico and his partner. You had Dan Hicks, NBC Sports' lead golf commentator, and his partner. You had Steve Sands from Golf Channel and his partner. And you had Terry Gann, who, by the way, if you don't know, is going to become an NBA play-by-play voice.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
welcome back. It is In-Game Live Game Day here on the Grid. Scott and Gabe ripping along here, hour number one, final segment. Thanks again, by the way, to Mr. George Kurtz for joining us there. Time now for our best play on the board, our Black Cloud play of the day. All right, not too many things say St. Louis Cardinals tonight, and we're not going to be one of them. I like the Dodgers. I do. They're back home. Now, they had to make that same Tampa to L.A. flight, just like, we talked about before with Tampa Bay. But Tampa Bay is one thing. Dodgers are something else. And plus they're going back home. They're 8-1 at home last 9 games against the Cardinals. Cardinals are 2-8 their last 10 road games. They're playing awful baseball since the All-Star break. Dodgers against winning teams under 500. Fortunately, the Cardinals are not a winning team. Dodgers against losing teams, 20 games over 500 this year. They're pretty good at home. They've been in a little slump at home, but they're still 13 games over 500 at home. Sonny Gray's on the hill for the Cardinals. Gabe mentioned that his numbers have been just awful. 19 runs, 17 earned in his last 3 starts, 30 hits, 30 in his last 13 and a third innings pitched. You got Glasnow on the hill for the Cardinals. I tell you what, and one more to boot, Cardinals are just generally awful against NL West teams. Since 2019, right? We're talking about 6+ years. The Cardinals are 35-54, 19 games under 500 on the road against these NL West division teams. They just don't travel to the West Coast very well. So add it all up, you're paying a little bit of a price. But I will say it's down. It was minus 188 before. It's down to 168, which makes me a little leery on that. But you know what? I'll take the gift from the boys in Vegas. Dodgers minus the 168 against St. Louis. Gabe, what do you think?
Yeah, and Sonny Gray, you talked about his numbers. 30 hits allowed in his last 3 starts, 17 earned runs. He's given up 5 home runs as well. And there are a couple of Dodgers. Teoscar Hernandez is a good example. He's only hitting 190 against Sonny Gray, 21 at-bats, but he's got 2 home runs. Shohei Ohtani's only seen him 7 times, 7 at-bats. He's got a home run against him. I've been pretty good at jumping in and out with Ohtani. I don't take him to hit a home run every day. The odds are good enough tonight, Scott, at plus 230 to entice me. I've got a bet on Ohtani season home run prop at 43.5, which, he's nearly there. We're getting close. Most of our home run props are pretty good. Ironically, the 2 guys, like we got Bregman. Bregman got injured, but he's still on pace. Vladimir Guerrero and Santander. Santander's never freaking played hardly, Scott, right? Don't forget, they brought in Santander in Toronto from Baltimore. He's given him nothing. He struggled before he got hurt. And Vlad Guerrero hasn't hit the amount of home runs that we thought he would. He hasn't had a bad year, but he hasn't gone deep very much. It's very strange, too, because the Blue Jays moved the fences in 2 years ago. It was already a hitter's park, so it made no sense to do it, but they did it so they could put more seats in. And they renovated their stadium. They put a lot of money into it. But ironically enough, Scott, the Blue Jays, it hasn't helped them, like, offensively. Like, it didn't help Guerrero. You figure, we all thought, Guerrero's going to hit 45, 50 home runs with this short porch now in Toronto. It really hasn't happened. It's been 2 years in a row, the lack of power for him.
You wonder why, right? I mean, if they're going out of their way to shorten the fence with him in mind in particular, it's kind of weird, right? Maybe they're just, I'd like to say they're swinging more for the home run, but they're always swinging for the home run. So it can't be that, it can't be like all of a sudden he's just changing his thinking and that's affecting him to the worse. Kind of weird where they would be, he wouldn't be hitting more homers. I know you got off to a real slow start with that at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, he has cranked it up, but you would expect him to have more than 16 home runs at this point, right? When we talk about the pure home run hitters, like Cal Rowley's into the 40s, the other guys are into the 30s, etc. Like 16 is really not a lot for him.
Yeah. We're getting a scoring fest in Texas. So much for that Yankee 3-0 lead. It's now 3-3. Bottom of the second inning.
What did I say, Scott? Rangers plus 200. Yeah. That's what I said when it was 1-0, and then it was 3-0. It was a lot more. I only got him at plus 200.
Yeah. So now you can grab the Yanks if you want a plus 112, although Texas is still batting. They got runners on first and second. I'm surprised the Rangers aren't a bigger favorite. I wish Kurtz was
still with us. I would like to see it. He gets so sour and upset. Well, yeah. That's why I'm sad that they didn't score when he was on.
Yeah. So I think they're going to obliterate that 12.5. I really do. So I like the over on that one as well. So I think that's a halfway decent bet. And you mentioned it before real quickly when we had George on. I think the Reds are a decent play right now. Plus 285, fourth inning. Only down 2-1. I think that's going to be a back and forth affair. So hour number 2 coming up next. We'll look at the board again when we come back.
They lay over and die at the hands of the Minnesota Lynx, who beat them 109-78. The defense is a mess. The offense is a mess. The Vegas Aces, who I was so sold on, JY, bouncing back and being one of the absolute best teams in this league, are average at best.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
One big problem for NBC, too many on-air cooks for the coverage, particularly on the weekends. Having 4 on-air teams separate time, divide the time, was really outrageous. You had Mike Tirico and his partner. You had Dan Hicks, NBC Sports' lead golf commentator, and his partner. You had Steve Sands from Golf Channel and his partner. And you had Terry Gann, who, by the way, if you don't know, is going to become an NBA play-by-play voice.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is In-Game Live, Game Day here on the Grid. Hour number 2 of our 2-hour extravaganza. Scott and Gabe, as we welcome in. If you can't get George Kurtz to talk about the Yankees, then, no better figure than Mark Zinno, SportsGrid host you see in here all the time, especially after the Yankees blow an early 3-0 lead. What's going on, Mark? How are you tonight, bud?
More of the same. You know what the thing I don't do anymore, guys, is I don't even watch the games anymore. I just wait to see the results on social media. I watch everybody lose their minds. Like, that's a better use of my time than actually investing 2.5, 3 hours into watching the Yankees play. You just watch a Nick Turturro video. You can tell whether they won or lost on Twitter right away.
That's the way to do it. Is Nick Turturro here. And look, it's going to worse.
I've seen you get upset about the Braves too, Mark, online in the past. They're an easy team to get upset about right now too.
They are. But when the one guy you thought was supposed to be the stopper and solve all the problems, and Max Fried has already given up 3 runs through an inning in the third and has got bases loaded now in the bottom of the second. Yeah, I mean, look, I just genuinely don't know how much longer this can go on the way it is. And the fact that Hal Steinbrenner is silent just goes to show you the dichotomy between him and his father. Look, there was a lot of things bad about George Steinbrenner, but the guy that would light a fire underneath everybody's ass in times like this, that would threaten everybody's job in times like this, is exactly what this team needs, and they don't have it. When Derek Jeter, of all people, Derek Jeter's never said a negative word publicly about the Yankees ever. He's always found a way to make it sound like, hey, it's still the Yankees, and they're the greatest franchise ever. When he is publicly calling out and chastising this team for their play, that should tell you all you need to know about how bad this is. And, of course, Aaron Judge is on the IL, so guess what? we don't hear anything from the captain because, quote, he's injured. So, maybe we'll hear from him after tonight's game, but because I think he's back in the lineup tonight, right? Or is it tomorrow night he's coming back?
Well, Thursday, I think it is. It's not tonight, though. I know.
And it's bad, Mark, as far as Jeter, what he doesn't even want to show up to the Old Timers Day, which is the anniversary of the championship team. He said, I have a prior commitment, right? And it's like, right, he doesn't want any part of it, but isn't it Cashman? I know Boone's like the target. Boone's been hired to be the target. He's like the media relations guy, right? For me, it's Cashman, right? I mean, Steinbrenner, I get where you're going with the Steinbrenners, but Cashman, the Yankees do spend money. They just don't spend the money wisely. And Cashman always seems to overvalue his team, Mark, and how good they are and how bad they are defensively. He thinks, he just sort of lives in a dreamland. No, everything will be fine. They're even worse defensively now, Mark, than they were last year. Like, it's gotten worse.
And the base running mistakes are, look, again, at some point you can't fire the players. You just have to make a move for them. I'm not a guy who wants to fire a manager just to shake things up. That's silly. And people say, well, who would you get to replace Boone? Literally anybody. Anybody at this point for the rest of the year. It does not matter. Because at least if the results are the same, you go, we tried. If the results are the same and you keep the same guy running the ship here, you're sitting here going, how are we tolerating this? For an organization, people are like, the Yankees were in the World Series last year. What are you complaining about? You clearly don't understand what it's like to be part of the New York Yankees organization because there are only two metrics: win the World Series or the season's a failure. That's it. There's no middle ground. There's no room for improvement. There's no we'll get him next year. There's no we're building something. Win the whole damn thing or it's a failure. And right now, the Yankees are a failure. And that's what this is all about. And the fact that they're going to continue to let this persist. Jazz Chisholm got picked off from first base, got doubled off first on a fly ball to second. This wasn't like a short fly pop in a no man's land in the outfield that a guy made a diving grab. This wasn't a pop where the guy was going back over his head and made a circus catch. This was a routine little league second base infield pop-up, and the dude got doubled off first. Why and how? And the idea that the manager just yelled at the first base coach, didn't bench the guy, didn't pull him out of the game, and starts him again tonight, goes, we're fine.
Well, we saw Wells last week. Didn't know how many outs there were. Yeah. He got doubled off.
Yeah.
And for the record, this is what bad teams do, because let me just bring it up, Scott. Not great for the over, but good for Blue Jay backers, which seems to be the world. The Rockies actually had runners on first and second with one out. But Buddy got picked off first base. Alejandro Kirk saw him lingering, being lazy. And it's rare. I said, oh my God, it's rare you actually see someone get picked off by the catcher at first base like that where it works. Right? But it actually worked. Yeah. And then Lauer struck the next guy out. So first and second with one out, quickly imploded. That's what happens when you're a bad baseball team, right?
This is what bad baseball teams do. And this has been the Yankees since June 1st. When they pitch, they don't hit. When they hit, they don't pitch. The Yankees finally started hitting tonight. They're pitching and Max Fried stinks, and they're down 4-3. That's the sign of a bad baseball team.
So I'm assuming then you would not go on the Yankees right now. You look for teams that are down a run or so, getting money that were the favorite to start. That was the Yankees. You get them at plus 146. I'm guessing you're not biting then, Mark?
Scott, you're supposed to take an emotional hedge that makes you feel better. This would be a hedge that makes me feel worse.
Even worse.
It'll make it worse if they lose. Yeah, it'll just compound the anger.
Anything, I just have to catch right now. But the point, this is a really crucial series when you think about it, just because this is a team that's in chief contention with the Yankees for that final wild card spot right now. So, losing these games are huge. This is a double whammy here.
And Cleveland up, Mark, tonight, too, against the Mets, right? They're not going away.
Boston's not going away. Seattle's not going away. Houston's still in the mix, obviously. Look, at this point, the Yankee fan in me, the realist, has missed the postseason because maybe things will change. Because, Gabe, Scott, what does it do you for this team to make the playoffs and get eliminated in a 3-game series in a wild card round? What good does it do? Why waste the time? There's no reason.
Even worse, even worse, they win the wild card round, then maybe get eliminated in the second round. Or they do what they did last year, which is, the American League is so bad, anybody can actually go to the World Series. I mean, it sounds crazy to say, but it's not like it's a badge of honor that you went to the World Series out of the American League. It's just because everyone stinks in the American League. And everyone keeps their jobs.
The Yankees got there last year was because of Juan Soto and Giancarlo Stanton, who hit every ball they saw out of the ballpark in the postseason.
But Mark, they'll use it as an excuse for Boone and for Cashman that Heel got hurt, that Cole got hurt, that Judge got hurt. I know probably would be the same result, to be honest with you. And or if you sign a bunch of old players, don't be surprised if they get hurt as well. I'll sort of throw that at the Yankees a little bit too. Like, Stanton's hurt again. That's a shock, right? You know what I mean? Like when that stuff happens.
Stanton may have the greatest contract in baseball history for getting the most money for doing the least, because the guy's only played a third of a season each of the last 4 years. So
he's saying he's the Sam Bradford of, but he's better than Bradford.
Yeah,
but I like, it should say, Bradford
made a lot more money. Right. I mean, I'd love to get paid to not have to work. Can we organize that here? Is there? Can I call my
$79 million for Bradford or something like that? Yeah, not bad.
Listen, the litany of excuses that are going to come. They're on none. Boone doesn't have any accountability. And that's the worst part is, guys, watching him night in and night out try to sweep these excuses under the rug. Yeah, we got to be better. Hey, well but I believe we have a good team. You're the only one who does, because all the evidence otherwise tells that they're not a good team. So stop telling everybody you think they're a good team. Just either play better, manage better, coach better, do something better, because this isn't it.
Or if they are a good team, then who's the fault? You, the manager. Right? If you're telling me they're a good team, then Skip, then what's going on? Because right now, you're 2 games away from falling out of a playoff spot. After this series against Texas, if things go the wrong way, they can be sitting outside looking in, which is just amazing. It really is. All right, we'll take a quick little break. We'll come back. We got a bunch of games that are starting. We'll get Mark's thoughts on those. Tampa Bay and the LA Angels. We got the Dodger game. We got the Padre game. We'll get Mark's thoughts on those when we come back. In-game live, game day here on the Grid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of thoughts.
18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups. My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Gabe, hour number 2 as they shut the lights out on me. Not over yet, boys. So keep those lights on. Talking with Mark Zito here, a little baseball. Just to update the scores, Houston did just beat Miami 8-2, so that's a final. Giants trying to hold on. Did like San Fran today. They're up 4-3 against the Pirates. Pittsburgh batting starting bottom of the 8th. Need one run out of the Orioles. We were lamenting some of the bets. I made over 3.5 runs. Baltimore, they had 3 runs in the top of the second inning, and I'm still stinking on 3 runs, Mark. It's just like some of this stuff, you can't make this up, right? You just, if they don't score a run in the top of the 9th, those are the things that make you just pull your hair out, whatever you have left. So, it's not just the Yankee fan. All fans go through this struggle for sure. Tampa Bay and the LA Angels. We'll start there, getting underway in about a half hour or so. Angels minus 120 at home against the Devil Dogs, as I like to call them. Where are you going with that one, if anywhere?
Well, if you believe in Yusei Kikuchi as a home favorite, because I think he is now 4-1 as a home favorite this year when he pitches. The Angels' money line would be the way. I still have a lot of problems, anything involved with that Angels bullpen. I would look first 5 under, if you can, especially if you can find a 4.5 out there. I'm seeing 4 at a couple of shops, including a couple offshore ones. So, but yeah, I would live with the push there with the first 4 under, because again, Hauser is the wild card here. It's his first start coming over to the Rays from the White Sox, and he was really good with the Rays for the most part. I'm sorry, with the White Sox for the most part. Once he returned to the rotation. So this isn't exactly an Angels team that I believe, can hit the snot out of the baseball. Sure, they have the ability to do it at home, and we see it from time to time, but Hauser's got a 2.1 ERA for a reason. He's been getting a lot of guys out here. So I lean first 5 under there. And then if you really want to get risky, take the Angels full game.
All right, how about San Diego and Arizona? Padres 7-1 their last 8. Arizona traded away anyone who's anyone, although they did take 2 out of 3 against the A's. Not that that's a great accomplishment, but Sacramento / Las Vegas had been playing well. So San Diego and the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I mean, look, this feels like an over game here. Brandon Pfaadt is better at home than he is on the road. But when it comes to Arizona, they handle lefty pitching okay with JP Sears. It's just hard to know how he's going to do in his first start coming over from the Athletics since the trade deadline. So this is, some of the variants that you get involved in with here. But, I feel like it's one of these things where the Padres are really hot right now. And this is a team, Brandon Pfaadt, the Padres team is a career 310 batting average against Brandon Pfaadt. And their OPS is touching 800. So they can hit him. Particularly guys like Cronenworth, are batting over 400 against him. But Luis Arraez is batting 526. He's 10 for 19 against him. So maybe you want to take a Luis Arraez here over 1.5 total bases to get against Pfaadt and hit him. He's going to have at least 2 to 3 cracks at it if he goes 5 innings. So might not be worth a bad look there for Arraez to go over 1.5.
It's crazy the lack of respect Arraez gets for how just dismissed batting average is in today's day and age in the big picture. But I brought it up a couple of minutes ago, Mark, and you said, all right, so JP Sears, you don't know what we're going to get. The long ball was a problem for him, so he gets out of that launching pad in Sacramento now. But I believe when a guy is joining a contender, you go from a bad team to a contender, you want to show this contender that they made the right move by bringing you in, right? So there's that extra. This is a big start for him personally, right? To send a message. It's his first time that these guys are going to see him. First impressions are big with this stuff. I like San Diego tonight. I'm gonna bank that Sears pitches. I'm not saying he's throwing a no hitter, but I say that he pitches well tonight And as you stated, San Diego are just hot right now. They're on the Dodgers' tail. They're only 3 back. They play each other 6 times still, too, guys. So those series are going to be lit when they play each other. But I think San Diego will get it done tonight. Like I said, I think Sears wants to show his new teammates that he can ball.
I agree with you. Look, I mean, it's hard to bet against San Diego right now, given where they are. And for the record, I need 25 more wins out of them to go over their win total for the season. So very low number at 86 earlier this year. That said, again, Sears is got to be good for them. If they keep hitting the ball, though, they're going to be a really tough out. And that's kind of what it is. The number here tells me, Gabe, that they're giving enough respect to Fott at home, where he's been really good despite the 5.1 ERA overall in the year. He's been much better at home. Maybe Arizona just rolls over and dies at this point. That's kind of what you're waiting to see now that we're starting the first weekend after the trade deadline. We'll see who's really still in this thing and wants to still be in this thing. But regardless, I think that this is a D-backs team that is more likely to fold the hand than necessarily, try to step up another level and start
punch
playing
back. Yeah.
We can't find any reason, Mark, to bet St. Louis tonight. Gabe and I both like the Dodgers. We talked George into the Dodgers. What say you?
Sonny Gray. I mean, that's, if you want to take a first 5 under kind of deal, but even at that, Sonny Gray's ERA is touching near 6 on the road this year. It's been a completely
awful
than he has been at home. And again, he did face the Dodgers once this year, went 6 1/3, gave up no runs, scattered 8 hits, as I say, scattered 8 hits. So, I don't know when that start was. Let me just take a quick look and see how recent it was. It was back in the beginning of June. So I don't know which, and at that point he improved to 7-1 on the year. That was when Sonny Gray was really, really good to start the season off. All that said, I'm with you.
The month of July was not good for Sonny at all. It was not sunny for Gray. Whatever pun you want to go with. It was a cloudy month for Sonny Gray, Scott. How's that? Yeah.
He was very Sonny Corleone, as in he got whacked.
30 hits. We talked about his last 3 starts. 30 hits, 17 earned runs. He's given up 5 home runs too, Mark, in his last 3 starts.
Not good. Again, I don't have a reason, especially with Glass now back, a guy who's really going to try to work his way back. It's hard for me to put a lot of stock into, them not being the team that we thought they were going to be. But the Dodgers, again, they're just playing for the postseason at this point. I don't think it matters if they win the division or not. They're showing up and up.
All right. Orioles lose 13-3. Unbelievable. Over
score.
3.5, and I got 3 runs in the second inning, and this pathetic biggest waste of human flesh east of the Mississippi can't score again. Thanks, Mark. We'll do it again soon.
They lay over and die at the hands of the Minnesota Lynx, who beat them 109-78. The defense is a mess. The offense is a mess. The Vegas Aces, who I was so sold on, JY, bouncing back and being one of the absolute best teams in this league, are average at best.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
You want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
One big problem for NBC, too many on-air cooks for the coverage, particularly on the weekends. Having 4 on-air teams separate time, divide the time, was really outrageous. You had Mike Tirico and his partner. You had Dan Hicks, NBC Sports' lead golf commentator, and his partner. You had Steve Sands from Golf Channel and his partner. And you had Terry Gann, who, by the way, if you don't know, is going to become an NBA play-by-play voice.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the Grid. Thanks again, Mark Zino, joining us as he does from time to time. We'll hook up with him again, I'm sure, later this week. So we got the baseball stuff going on. Bottom 9 now, San Fran holding on to a 4-3 lead over Pittsburgh. Metsies did tie up Cleveland 5-5. They were down 5-0, bottom of the 8th inning. They got a runner on as well. We got the Toronto and the Rockies. It's 2-0, bottom of the second. Rocks with 2 on. So we got some action going on. Let's put that aside for a second here, Gabe. College football season, NFL season, right around the corner. We got the 3 games, as you mentioned in the break, your preseason football games on Thursday in the NFL. So just starting to delve into some college football over-unders. And I love this stuff. I really do. I got one for you. Tell me how we can't possibly play this one. I know this team stinks. I get that. But Kent State, I've never seen this before. You've been doing this a long time. They haven't posted these over-unders that long. But Kent State has an over-under of 1.5. And not only do they play, not only is it 1.5 game, they play Merriman to start the season. I mean, they play basically a nobody, a Division III team. I mean, that's got to be a win, you would think. So if that's going to be a win, they got UMass on the schedule. They got Akron on the schedule. They got a couple of dogs on the schedule. Can we not get one more win out of Kent State and go over the 1.5? I mean, they're bad.
I like where you're going. I like where you're going, Scott, with the style. Right? It's a lot like, it sounds cliche with stock, but for me, and we can hit the top teams later, but for me, I look at the top tier teams and I like to bet their unders. Right? A lot of these teams can only lose one game. You get these totals of 10.5. It's like, all right, you got to go at 11-1. You go 10-2, you're going to win the bet. And I also like where you're going with, let's look at right at the bottom of these teams, the 1.5s. Can they get there?
Yeah.
The problem is, Scott, this team has lost 22 games in a row to real opponents. They lost to St. Francis last year.
They did.
To St. Francis. So, they could lose to Merrimack. You know what I mean? They actually could. That's what I'm saying. It's like
they haven't beat a division. Well, you said they haven't beat a Division I team in 3 seasons.
3 years.
In 3 seasons.
Yeah. They went 5-7 3 years ago. That was when they were kind of not bad. You know what I mean? They went 5-7, and they haven't beaten a team. So they've gotten 3 years in a row. And the crazy thing is, too, Scott, I'm almost with you on this, though, that can you win one MAC game? One MAC game. We're not talking about the SEC here. Yeah, can you steal a home game along the way here? Right? One game.
Ball State's going to be
can you
bad.
Beat Akron?
Buffalo,
can you beat you know what I mean?
It's just you got to be.
I'm not running the window to bet it. I'm not running the window to bet it. But I like it in the sense that you get that win against Merrimack out of the way, and you just pray they win one game along the way somehow.
Yeah, I mean, just to give you an example, Merrimack last year had 5 wins, right? So that's not horrible, but losses that teams that Merrimack couldn't beat, Maine, Dartmouth, they couldn't beat an Ivy League team, which is just horrendous. They lost to St. Francis as Kent State did. I mean, they're a mediocre.
They were the
team
worst.
At absolute best.
They were the worst rushing team in the country last year. They've got a new quarterback in. It's one of these deals. They have a bunch of new players, but it's often this, in college football, Scott. It'll be like, oh, yeah, this team has 17 returning starters. Yeah, good for you. You were 0-12 last year or 1-11.
Yeah.
Maybe so. Yeah, no, exactly, Scott. So I'm saying, Kent State are starting over. Like they're starting over. They have a lot of new players, and exactly. New head coach, new quarterback. The quarterback from Fordham comes over. So like they're starting over, and it's quite frankly, it can't be worse, right? Like they can't be worse. I mean, their only win in like 3 years against Central Connecticut State.
Yeah, I mean, it's like just out of flip a coin 10 times, eventually it's going to come up heads, right? After coming up 6, 7, 8 times, and the same thing with like eventually you have to win one game, right? You can't go 3 straight years of winless football, right? I mean, just it's a bad bounce, bad officiating. You got to get some break that goes Kent State.
Their schedule is pretty hard too, Scott. Like after the Merrimack game, dude, they go to Texas Tech. Yeah, have fun with that.
Yeah.
Florida State, Oklahoma.
Yeah. Wow. All right, more coming up.
They lay over and die at the hands of the Minnesota Lynx, who beat them 109-78. The defense is a mess. The offense is a mess. The Vegas Aces, who I was so sold on, JY, bouncing back and being one of the absolute best teams in this league, are average at best.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
You want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13 for, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
One big problem for NBC, too many on-air cooks for the coverage, particularly on the weekends. Having 4 on-air teams separate time, divide the time, was really outrageous. You had Mike Tirico and his partner. You had Dan Hicks, NBC Sports' lead golf commentator, and his partner. You had Steve Sampson, Golf Channel, and his partner. And you had Terry Gann, who, by the way, if you don't know, is going to become an NBA play-by-play voice.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is In-Game Live Game Day here on the Grid. Scott and Gabe having some fun on this Monday evening. We got baseball. We got the little college football talk here going on as well. So with that, let us welcome in Scott Steen. HitThePick.com is where you find all his plays. Co-founder, HitThePick.com. Follow him on Twitter at Steenroller. That's STEEHNROLLER. So we're talking a lot here, Scott. And believe it or not, don't ask why. We're degenerates here. So first question, the most important question of the evening. Can we get Kent State to 2 wins? Their win total is 1.5, and they take on Merrimack to start the season. Can we get one more win out of Kent State in your eyes, Scott?
Dude,
I say no, Scott.
The only answer is relegation. Relegation. Bring in North Dakota State. Send Kent State to FCS.
They could be North Dakota State. They would never be North Dakota State.
No, North Dakota State would beat them. North Dakota State would beat them 48-0. Yeah, it would be 48-0.
It's a 4-touchdown spread minimum. I heard you guys go through it. No, I don't think they get to 2.
No,
I wouldn't. I'd probably play Merrimack in the points to start off the season. But you talking about?
Yeah, you know what, Scott? You got me thinking about hammering the under now. Like this might be a best bet. I'm going under. And just every week we kick back and just watch them and pray they don't win. I said no, and I wanted to get
what
this.
What are the point spreads, Gabe, going to be? Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. As we were going to the break, I was thinking, you know, though, Scott, and Scott, I was like, and I told Wetzel this year to break. I said, you know, Scott, one thing with the MAC, there's a lot of bad weather games, right? So if you're a bad team, you might get one of these really bad weather games, and it sort of evens things out. But like I said, they lost to St. Francis last year. So who's to say they won't lose to Merrimack to start the season this season? And I was just wondering as well, what do you think, Wetzel? Like, honestly, for the record, too, Texas Tech are heavily hyped this year. Now, the NIL stuff is out of control. Texas Tech's, they spent $28 million on players. So they've loaded up. They paid anyone that'll basically, you know, go there. Now they're hosting Kent State in week 2, Wetzel, after the Merrimack game.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Texas Tech minus 50, 51.5, 48.5 type thing.
Yeah.
It'll be that high. It's going to be like massive.
Yeah. It's Oklahoma a couple weeks later, right after playing Florida State. Well, could we get
and Florida
60?
State aren't as good anymore. This will be Florida State's opportunity to murder somebody, and you know they'll run the score up because
you know Oklahoma will, right? We going to get a 60
Michigan,
this year, Scott?
Michigan and Oklahoma play in week 2, September the 6th. Michigan at Norman, Oklahoma. That's a big time game in week 2. Michigan open up with New Mexico in week 1.
There's a look-ahead game for Oklahoma with Kent State coming to town next week, so they have to be careful.
Yeah, exactly.
I love college football. All right, we'll move on. I'm going to say how many points would they have to give?
Sorry, Scott. Let me just last thing on this, okay? With Merrimack, they opened up the season last year, guys, at Air Force in Colorado Springs. They lost 21-6.
That's not bad.
Wait, that's not bad. But bizarrely enough, the following week, Wetzel, they went to UConn and lost 63-17. So, right. They beat Bucknell 31-21.
Did they lose to Colgate or somebody 6-0?
They beat Colgate 51-17. They lost to Robert Morris 6-0 in a bad weather
Robert
game.
Morris. Okay.
They beat Fordham 19-3. They're not bad. They went 5-6 like last year. You know, they're not terrible, Merrimack. Yeah, I'm going under. Long story short, under 1.5 Kent State. I'm glad you brought it up, Scott. They're not getting the 2. Right. They're not getting the 2.
Get it 2. All right.
And if they lose this game, there's no way in hell they get to 2.
No, right. This is your bet. Yeah, right? Yeah. I mean, it's funny, guys. Like, if you go down the schedules and you look at the over-unders, it is amazing how it really comes down to 1, maybe 2 games. You're going to beat these 4 teams. You're going to lose to these 4 teams or 5 teams. And then it comes down to literally 1 or 2 games with these over-unders. And this is it for accuracy.
Unless you're Rutgers. It's been 2 years in a row. I bet Rutgers overs. And they get there by half a game all the time, guys. And Wetzel, they always lose the game they're supposed to win, and then they steal one late you don't expect. I was like, well, I didn't think they were going to win on the road in Iowa or Michigan State, but they did, right? And then they blow it at home, right, to Purdue or something stupid like that. But you're right. That's why, you know what, I like college football win totals. They're fun. I like where you went with this, Scott, with the bad teams and looking at these numbers. But there's no room for error. That's why I was saying, Scott Steen, with college win totals, I love betting the under 10.5s with these powerhouse teams. Like, Saban went undefeated like 3 times in his career in regular season, 2 times only or something, Wetzel. Like, Ohio State won the championship, they lose. Teams lose games in the modern era, Scott Wetzel and Scott Steen. Is there anyone, Scott, at the top teams? I'll just rattle off a couple of the top teams in a second here, guys. And there's a bunch of them where it's like, this team could easily go 10-2 this year. I'm betting under with their totals, but is there a college football win total that you like, Scott Steen, now?
You know, I'm looking at the Big 12, and the thing about the Big 12 is they went from 3 cupcake games to 2 cupcake games this year. So it's going to be a kind of a season of adjustment, as they don't just have that one giveaway game, that you can absolutely count on. I know K-State for example, starts with North Dakota, not North Dakota State, but North Dakota. And then their other cupcake game is, they start with Iowa State, but then there are two cupcake games, North Dakota, and then they play Army. That's their other non-con game. So I'm looking at in this K-State team, and I'm not sure Avery Johnson is making that next step up. I like this team a lot. I think they're very, very solid, but I'm not sure that they get there. And I'm looking it up right now. I had it in front of me a minute ago. Their win total for the season is
8.5.
8.5.
Yeah, 8.5.
I think that's going to be a struggle. I think this KU team is going to be good. They've got their quarterback back for one more season. They're still playing, as far as I know, they're still playing in Arrowhead. At least the beginning of the season, they're waiting on their stadium to get done. So and they pack that place pretty well. So I'd be a little reticent to bet K-State over 8.5. I'm not sure that defense holds up like it did last year, and I'm not sure who they get to bring in at running back. I think it's going to be running back by committee, and I don't know that Avery Johnson is going to be able to take that next step forward. So I'm looking at K-State right now as far as an under team goes.
What
and Wetzel,
Go ahead.
But Wetzel, I was going to say, you were talking about one games matter so much with these win totals. Yeah. That first game of the year, Wetzel, against Iowa State for K-State's massive for both those football teams, right? You get that head start, and even for just sort of playoff contention and getting a head start on the season, I'm surprised the lack of respect Iowa State are getting in that game, just for the record. Like that people are making K-State a 3.5-point favorite there. But for the record, Iowa State's win total is 7.5. But Scott, Wetzel, Iowa State won 11 football games last year. They're a damn good team. Like people are, I don't know, I think people are kind of sleeping on Iowa State. You want to talk about win totals? I say Iowa State win 8 football games. Matt Campbell's a good coach. They're going to win 8 games this year.
Yeah, real good coach. I like him. And I tell you, I would be on the over BYU too. I know they lost their quarterback. I get that. But man, Sataki's been there 10 years. It's like, I would have guessed maybe 4 or 5. It just seems like he's been there forever. He's done nothing but win. They're always underappreciated, underrespected. And all the guy does is win 7, 8, 9, 10 games, every single year. So I would go over 6.5, guys, with BYU.
Yeah, they came out of nowhere. They came out of nowhere last year, and they were disrespected, and they absolutely made mincemeat of some teams that were very, very good in that conference. I agree with you, Scott. I think they're an open as well.
Hey, for the record, guys, the renovation isn't fully complete. They're putting like $400 million into this thing with Kansas Stadium, but they are playing at home, back at home this year. They are back at home.
We'll get some baseball picks from Scott when we come back here in the grid.
They lay over and die at the hands of the Minnesota Lynx, who beat them 109-78. The defense is a mess. The offense is a mess. The Vegas Aces, who I was so sold on, JY, bouncing back and being one of the absolute best teams in this league, are average at best.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
You want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
One big problem for NBC, too many on-air cooks for the coverage, particularly on the weekends. Having 4 on-air teams separate time, divide the time, was really outrageous. You had Mike Tirico and his partner. You had Dan Hicks, NBC Sports' lead golf commentator, and his partner. You had Steve Sams from Golf Channel and his partner. And you had Terry Gann, who, by the way, if you don't know, is going to become an NBA play-by-play voice.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is In-Game Live Game Day here on the Grid. Scott and Gabe, we're chatting with Scott Steen. HitThePick.com. Just going over some of the college football stuff. Back to the baseball board. I will say I do appreciate managers being stubborn. I really do, because Toronto put 7 runs on the board. They're batting top of the 3rd inning. They let this poor pitcher Gordon for Colorado. I like allowing you to kind of pitch your way out of it. But what do you think, Skip? He's given up 7 runs on 11 hits. 1 home run. I don't think he quite has it tonight. I don't know how many more hits and runs he has to give up.
He doesn't want to blow through his bullpen, Scott.
I guess
he's still in the baseball game.
Yeah, take one for the team, So anyway,
Blue Jays go over the win total in the 3rd inning, 6.5. Unbelievable.
Yeah. We were talking about that, Scott. Like, man, who wants to bet it over 6.5? You need 7 runs. But yeah, here it is in the 3rd inning, and it went over. Tell me you didn't play Colorado in this one, right?
No.
Okay.
I did play the under yesterday, though, so I do feel pretty stupid in that regard.
Okay, we'll let that one slide.
That was the Blaylock game. Yeah, it ended up 14. I was tapping somebody, and I can't remember who it was, but they gave up 12 runs in 3 1/3. I can't remember who the hell it was. I'm like, my God, that manager just must hate him. Just, you're going to wear it. You're going to wear it. Just wear it, son.
Well, it's the first game of the series, guys, right? So, you know what I mean? It's the first game. If you're Colorado, you kind of know.
And you said they used up a ton of relievers over the weekend. So,
All right, but now it's 9-0, Wetzel. They just hit a 2-run shot. You get a mercy killer. You got to take the kid out now. It's 9-0.
Yeah.
There's Bichette with the home run. So Bichette, big night tonight. Bichette with the home run, 2-run shot.
Nice. Big crossing up my things here on my STP. All right, Dodgers, St. Louis. Where are we going with this one, Scott?
I'm fading Sonny Gray, man. Sonny Gray has had just an absolutely dreadful month. 7 and change ERA, 1.75 WHIP. This is a bad Cardinals team right now, and they sold at the deadline. I think we're still catching a good price here. I'm all over the Dodgers run line here, and we're getting plus money for the Dodgers run line. Yes, sir. I'll take that all day, every day. I just don't believe in this Cardinals team, and I don't believe in Sonny Gray at all.
Yeah, he's been awful. Gabe and I have been talking about it over his last 3 outings, right? I mean, it's kind of hard to make a case for St. Louis. So, how about the Tampa Bay and the LA Angels? Go ahead.
Yeah, Gray's given up 17 in his last 3. So, yeah, not ideal. This is in Tampa Bay is a situation where I'm going to ride with the Adrian Hauser, who has been just sneaky good this season. It's a guy that you don't you don't hear a lot about him, and they're getting plus money against the Angels. I'm backing Adrian Hauser. He's got a 2 and change ERA on the road, under 1 WHIP. I'll play that. I'm against Kikuchi. The Cooch is a guy that I want to like. But every time I back him, he lets me down. This is a Tampa Bay team that definitely can tee off on left-handers, and I think it's going to be a long night for the Angels. Give me plus money with Tampa Bay for sure.
It should be noted, Wetzel, too. I was talking about the J.P. Sears angle. Hauser makes his first start, too, so you could argue the same point, right, about wanting to impress a new team, although they're not contenders, so it's a little bit different.
Still, you get traded. We saw it last night with
I get it. Yeah.
With what's his face, right? I mean, so it's a weird. You're right. Is it just adrenaline? Does that mean you weren't trying with the old team? It is kind of quirky, right? Why would these guys? You would think it would be the other way around. You're flying in. You don't know anybody. You don't know the pitching coach. You don't know anything, right?
You're in this business. If you were doing the first show on a new network you were on, you want it to be good, right?
Yeah, that's true.
For the record,
I guess.
Yeah.
If we happen to get bought out, or yeah. You know what? You're right.
No, I'm saying for any,
saying,
like in any job, you want your first day to
Right.
be good, whatever you did. Like,
Right.
so I understand. Like I said, wow, it's not a contending team. Contending's a little bit different. Like, you're like, wow, this team's good. They wanted me enough to be part of this. Getting traded to the Tampa Bay Rays when they're in a free fall is a little bit different, right? But I'm just stating. So I'm just psychologically, it's a little bit different, but same angle.
somebody should have told Bailey Falter tonight for the Royals in his first start after escaping. He gave up 7 earned in 4 innings. So so much for that theory. And the Royals are contending about like Tampa Bay is.
He's just not very good.
I guess that's part of the problem. But he'd had some decent starts. He's another one of those guys where you go out and you go, well, man, he's on the streak. He's given up 3 earned over his last 3 starts. He's going to be good. And he goes out there and just absolutely stinks up the joint and gives up, for example, 7 earned runs, 8 hits, 1 homer, and 2 walks in 4 innings. So thanks. Great trade there, boys. Appreciate it. Nice job.
Oh, baseball's a grind.
Yeah. Really
it is.
Like betting on it, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like the streaks will get broken, 162 games. It's cliche about, the best team will lose 62 times, but when you're a bettor, you're going to go through that same up and downs especially if you're betting baseball every day. So I always tell people, like, there's no lock. There's no lock in any sport. Every lock has a key, but specifically in any sport, like the NHL and the NBA guys, they play so much. Teams are going to have off nights. They're going to have bad road trips. They're going to have off nights. There's going to be inexplainable and, just sort of results. And in baseball, even more so when they play as much as they do.
Now, the Brewers have been printing money for us lately. Had them on the run line.
Yeah, they're the only ones that are consistent. Like Laverne and Shirley. They show up to work every day.
That's right, man. They're
Best record in baseball, Scott. Best record in baseball. I mean, are you buying into them?
They've got the pitching with Woodruff back. I don't hate it. It's
the worst best record in baseball going into August ever, though. We should note that.
The weird thing is they don't hit home runs, but they score runs. They're 6th in runs scored. They're 1st on the road in runs scored on the road. So it's like 20th in homers, but still get runs across the board. Yeah, I like this team. They're scrappy and they got good pitching.
3 in the loss column. I mean, they're starting to pull away in the National League for the best record and get that number 1 seed at 68-44 after tonight's win with the Dodgers 47 losses. So, yeah, it's crazy. Scott, great job, man. Do appreciate a couple minutes with you. HitThePick.com for his plays and all the action on his website, HitThePick.com. Thanks, Scott.
They lay over and die at the hands of the Minnesota Lynx, who beat them 109-78. The defense is a mess. The offense is a mess. The Vegas Aces, who I was so sold on, JY, bouncing back and being one of the absolute best teams in this league, are average at best.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
You want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
One big problem for NBC, too many on-air cooks for the coverage, particularly on the weekends. Having 4 on-air teams separate time, divide the time, was really outrageous. You had Mike Tirico and his partner. You had Dan Hicks, NBC Sports' lead golf commentator, and his partner. You had Steve Sams from Golf Channel and his partner. And you had Terry Gann, who, by the way, if you don't know, is going to become an NBA play-by-play voice.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is In-Game Live Game Day here on the Grid. Again, thanks to Scott Steen, hitthepick.com for his plays as he joins us from time to time. So, baseball board, we've been giving out some winners here. We said hop back on the Stankies when they were down 4-3. Now they're up 5-4, bottom of the fifth inning. Did like the over when it was 11.5, and I do think we're going to get to 12 runs. Still, it's only 12.5. We talked about the Reds. We gone back and forth with the Cubs and Reds. When the Reds were leading, we said go to Cubs. Then when the Cubs went up 2-1, we said hop right back on the Reds. Reds now lead 3-2, bottom of the seventh inning. You can grab the Cubs one more time if you want to at plus 215. Over under is 7.5, so it's basically right there where it was to start the game at 7. And the Mets, he's down 7-5 now. They gave up 2 in the top of the 10. They had a chance game to win it. Bases loaded, bottom 9, and they couldn't score. So extra innings. Cleveland puts 2 on the board against Helsley in the top of the 10th. So much for that great trade. At least it didn't work out. I don't know if that's his first appearance or not, but didn't work out at least tonight for the Mets. So they got to put 2 on the board against the Guardians. Remember, no Class A, so maybe they got a fighting chance. But you get them at 6-1. Runner on second base, obviously with nobody out, 6-1, 5-1, down 2 runs. I don't know if I would do it or not, but they're not out of it, obviously.
No, you know what? I think this is one of these games that wouldn't surprise me. It's gone back and forth. They were down 5-0, right? So can they come back again from a betting perspective? I would say that they would. And all this talk of Colorado at 9-0 for the Blue Jays in this game, but I guess later in the week we could hit the Colorado Buffaloes, and I'm glad that Deion Sanders is doing better health-wise, but I'm not sure this team's going to get to 6 games this year. Their win total is 5.5. If you look at their schedule, it's very difficult. There's a lot of really good football teams that they're playing this year. They don't, say what you will about Shedeur Sanders, but he carried that team. They don't have Travis Hunter. They don't have Shedeur Sanders. They have this Jordan Lewis kid, and they got Caden Salter, actually, from Liberty. So he is a good quarterback, but got to wonder about the defense, the offensive line, and all that. So to get to 6, I know it's just a bowl, and I'm a pro Deion guy. I'd like to see him get to a bowl game, so I'm not trying to, they're going to be terrible and ha-ha, but just the way the situation is, I'm not sure they'll be able to get to 6, but we can hit that. For me, for the Dodgers tonight, let's lay the 1.5 with the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers bats are going to show up tonight. We've all been talking about Sonny Gray getting lit up. So give me the Dodgers minus the 1.5 this evening. Give me Glass now over 6.5 strikeouts. Sonny Gray under 5.5 strikeouts. And I think Shohei Ohtani goes deep tonight, guys, at plus 230. And I'm not a big same-game parlay fan, but I don't mind with the Dodgers, and it all just sort of feels correlated here. So I like those plays, and I'll just throw it together right now, Scott, to see what it ends up paying here on a same-game parlay as well. I'll play them individually, and then I'll just play a little play on the parlay.
I'll throw you one more. We got the Dodgers as the black cloud. I'll go under 15.5 out Sonny Gray. Like, he could pitch well and still not pitch into the 6th inning against LA. So, but he's been pitching horribly. So chances are he's going to get knocked out before the 6th inning, just because he's pitching so poorly. But again, even if he does, it's not that often, believe it or not, that pitchers go past 5. So I'll go under 15.5. It's really not even juiced, minus 115. And I think the Dodger bats do come out and play tonight. So, yeah, I agree with you with Colorado. Like, I generally root for him. I do. Outside of that one little goofy incident when he was playing baseball, when he dumped the water over what's-his-face's head, I didn't really like that.
Tim
but
McCarver.
Otherwise, Tim McCarver, who I don't like, didn't like. As a broadcaster, I didn't anyway. But I thought that was really classless. I really did. But that said, I still root for him. It's one thing. I know the kid, the quarterback for Liberty, is pretty good, but it's one thing to be pretty good at Liberty versus going to the Big 12. So, can he really make that transition? I don't think they'd be Georgia
And he was
Tech,
just kind
to tell
of
you the truth.
He was just kind of okay at Liberty as well last year. Like Liberty, right. To be honest, Liberty, and I know because I lost a Liberty win total. I bet Liberty win totals last couple of years. They were led by their running backs. Like Liberty ran the football a lot. So I'm not saying Salter's not a good quarterback, but it's not going to be easy to go into the Big 12 against that competition, as you stated. Just quickly, the same game parlay, guys. Dodgers to win the game. Glass now over 6.5 strikeouts. Ohtani to hit a home run is plus 575. If you want to play, just for the record, that's what it pays.
All right, there you go. Mets scored 1, and they got a runner on first base. So there you go. So you never know. 7-6. They're still giving you plus 630. FanDuel's showing no out, but there's got to be at least one out. There just has to be. So, and my Red Sox are barely holding on, 8-5 now. That thing was 7-1. I got to sweat that out. So, Gabe, great job. We'll do some more college football talk tomorrow, more baseball stuff as well. WNBA returns, so hopefully you guys will as well. Get rid of Grid.